Welcome back. Let's roll out to Los Angeles again and bring in Coach JB, Jason Brown, Last Chance Q. JB, we're going to start where I somewhat ended with Steve Kim. Lamar Jackson, I want to read to you something Lamar posted earlier today on Instagram. I think this is related to him being a no-show at their game yesterday in Cincinnati. Wasn't scheduled to play, but just didn't show up to support his teammates. Lamar posted on Instagram, when you have something good, you don't play with it. You don't take chances losing it. You don't neglect it. When you have something good, you pour into it. You appreciate it. Because when you take care of something good, that good thing takes care of you too. Jason Whitlock is reporting that there's a rift in the relationship between the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. He thinks Lamar Jackson will be out of Baltimore, that Baltimore will be forced to franchise tag and then trade Lamar Jackson. Your thoughts on, one, Lamar not playing with an MCL injury that's not completely healed, and then not showing up to even support his teammates? And then, do you think Lamar has any trade value? Would other teams want Lamar Jackson at this point?
The first problem is the not showing up. It's just becoming a trend. This is what we are now in society. This is what we are. This is what the generation is. We allow it at all levels. Parenting, coaching, players, our peers. We don't really back in the day, Jason, we missed a game or refused to play in a game for whatever reason. We were going to probably get in a fight in the locker room with our teammates. Somebody was probably going to check us, come to us, and we were probably going to have to defend that decision. Nowadays, we go onto social media and we praise Lamar Jackson. He's deserving. I wouldn't play either. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm just lost right now, man, in this day and age. I'm lost with these kids' decisions on not playing the game. They're making a lot of money playing, more money than we've ever seen, and yet they think it's okay to miss work, which is what it is. It's work. And, you know, the Walmart worker can't call in every day and miss work. He's going to be fired. I think we're so enabled that we take it for granted now, and we don't understand how important this fan base is to our careers and our futures, plus our future contracts, in this case with Lamar. I think he pulled the ultimate cowardly move. I think he's what we call a fake-ass good boy. I've called him a good character kid. I know some people that coached him. Now I'm seeing things that we call a fake-ass good boy, Jason. He shakes your hand. He smiles in your face. He calls you yes, sir, no, ma'am. He says this and that, and then he goes out and does things like this, which we continue to see lately because he has a riff with contract and his organization. Jason, we're here to play the game. We have 52 dudes in that locker room depending on you to beat the Bengals, to move on in the playoffs. And apparently, from what I've heard, he was medically cleared. And if you're not going to show up to the game to back up Huntley, as far as backing him up emotionally, support, etc., then to me, you've shown your cards. You are who I thought you were now. And it's kind of like, wow, you know, and you saw Sammy Watkins kind of make a statement like, I don't understand. This guy can play. Why is he not playing? I'm very confused now that the locker room's starting to get wind of it. I think I said it was Steve Kim. I think he cowered it out because he didn't want to perform like he normally would in the playoffs and choke and look bad, and it only would hurt his future contract negotiations even more so. If he don't show up, now we got to go back and look at the film and see why we're going to pay this guy. But just get horribly performance in the playoffs, we know we're not paying him. So why should I show up for that? I've already proven who I am. I can't win in the playoffs. I'm not sustainable in this league as a quarterback, and that is proven. And now he wants his money too. It's like, come on, man. You're who I said you are all year long. So, Jason, I just want to ask you, when do I get my pat on the back?
Let's get through the offseason. Let's see what happens this offseason before you get your pat on the back. But
hey, Jason, let me ask you this.
Let me ask you this.
Where does he go? Let me ask you that. Where does he go? Who in their right mind?
That's where I'm at. You're here to answer that question. Where does he go? That was my question to you. Who wants Lamar Jackson at this point? Don't you have to trade for him and Greg Roman, the offensive coordinator?
Just like I said on my show today, Greg Roman is so undervalued, it's unbelievable. If you're not a football guy and don't understand football and you don't understand coaching and the intricacies of coaching, you will never understand how truly great Greg Roman is. He's been to multiple Super Bowls as an offensive play caller using multiple offensive scheme that nobody wants to talk about. He's created and devised a system for a guy to be successful. And he's created a system to be conducive with this guy who is very limited throwing the football. So we got to create all these bells and whistles in the run game to have success, Jason. They face a bear front more than any NFL team has faced in the last 20 years. And you know, as a player, a bear front for all the the general population out there, the novice fan, is when we cover up every offensive lineman with a D lineman. And we bring in 2 linebackers. There's a 7-man ring of scrimmage. And we get cover 0 or 1 high in the secondary. That tells me, and all the whistles are belling, we think you are going to choke passing the football. We're going to pressure receivers, load the box so you don't beat us with your feet because we know you can't beat us with your arm. They faced a bear front so much, Jason. And I love seeing these naysayers on Twitter. Greg Roman needs to go. Really? Do you know what he does in the bear front, Jason? He has innovated schematics in the run game where they are adding a hat to the box to help out Lamar. They're down in the guard, wrapping the center and backside tackle, reading the backside DN. Things we never saw years ago because a lot of people, as you know as a player, Jason, you see a bear front, you check out. We throw the ball. We can't run against the bear front. Roman's running the football versus bear front because they've had to create all these schematics with floating motions and adding guys to the party just to run the ball with this guy to be successful and have a somewhat of a decent offense in a system where you have no receivers because receivers don't want to play with you because you can't throw the ball. And I got to be able to run the football and play defense and not turn the ball over. And my point is this, Jason. Huntley should have won the game last night. And a very average quarterback, a backup in this league, which I've been saying on your show for 12 weeks. We can win with average quarterbacks around a better roster. And Huntley proved it last night. They should have won the football game with average play. They look better in the red zone yesterday than they have with Lamar Jackson all season. I mean, let that sink in.
Can I go back to my question? Who wants Lamar Jackson?
No, I don't. Nobody, because you got to restructure your whole roster. You got to structure your whole roster. You have to become Baltimore South. So who's going to become Baltimore South? New Orleans with Kamara? Or are you going to go to Tennessee and play with that running back and
Derrick Henry.
With Henry with no receivers again. I mean, I'm just confused. Who's going to take you? Washington? The Jets? Jets have too many good receivers to waste. Washington has McCarron. There's too many good receivers to waste. Like, who is going to restructure their entire roster around this guy who hasn't won in the playoffs very much, who hasn't been sustainable as far as playing with this style? What team, if you're the GM, Jason, who's going to take them? The Raiders? Hell no. He ain't going to get the ball to Devontae Adams. Miami? So you think Tyreek Hill and Waddle are going to be happy with him coming to Miami? Hell no. They can't get him the ball. So they already struggle with Tua. So I'm just saying, I don't see a team. I don't see a home for the guy, man. I think he's really, really gambled on himself, which I admire, but I think it's a bad business decision. That's why you don't hire siblings, blood, mothers, fathers as your agent. I think he really screwed the pooch in this one, man. I really like the kid. He's shown some bad judgment lately, and I have no respect for the kid at this point, unless there's something I don't know, and I hate to speak outside of my mouth and put my foot in my mouth, but I would have showed up to the game regardless, because you've been there for these guys your whole time. Now you're starting to feel sorry for yourself, and they should come kiss your behind. No, you should be there as a leader and as a guy looking for a big bag and show up and say, you know what, I'm bigger than what they say. I'm going to show up for my team. I mean, that's, to me, man, this is becoming allowed more than often. And the more we allow it, the more next year. How about Aaron Rodgers don't show up next year? I mean, it's expected now.
JB, hold on. I want to stay on this Lamar topic. What should, not what would JB do, what should, although this is what JB would do, what should the Baltimore Ravens do? Should they franchise tag Lamar? Should they move on from Lamar? Should they give him a long-term contract? What should Baltimore do?
I move on from him, and at this point, I got to start questioning Harbaugh. Mr. Hadley sent me a little interesting stat from my show. He's got 2 wins in 10 years in the playoffs, Harbaugh. Well, nobody's talking about him pacing the sideline, really not doing anything but being the figurehead of the program. He doesn't call offense. He doesn't call defense. He's a special teams guy by nature. And his demeanor on the sideline is really just, it's not going to do nothing for anyone like a Lamar Jackson. So he's created this offensive scheme, the RG3s, the McSorleys, the Huntleys. Their whole program is built around Lamar Jackson. So if Lamar goes down, the backup at one point was RG3. Let's run the same system. McSorley was his backup. Let's run the same system. We don't have the traditional quarterback to come in and be the pocket guy. This whole offense was devised around Lamar Jackson, which I give Harbaugh credit for. I love that he went out on a limb and said, we're going to build this thing around Greg Roman and Lamar Jackson, and let's go win this way. Pound, 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 play defense, and use this electrifying superstar at quarterback as an athlete. Well, now it has imploded on you, and your roster now lacks in so many key areas. I do not see, Jason, a GM or an owner, paying Lamar this amount of money when you lack on the perimeter at receiver, when you lack at a couple D-line pieces, maybe a secondary piece for Peters, who's aging tremendously in front of our very eyes. They got to get back to Baltimore Ravens football that won them a Super Bowl with the most average quarterback ever to win a Super Bowl in Trent Dilfer. So that is where I'm at. You can't put all this in Lamar, or you're going to be where you are right now just with the Lamar Jackson contract.
What did you think of J.K. Dobbins' criticism of the quarterback sneak, saying he should have gotten the ball?
I don't know. This is my thing. I had Zach Smith on my show this morning. He kind of knows a lot about him. He said he's done that before. J.K. Dobbins has fumbled too. And the same scenario, fumbled on the goal line just like this. So it's kind of ironic how people forget their own doings and mishaps. Here's my thing. I give credit to a kid all the time. I'm always going to credit a kid who's given his all out, especially in a situation where Lamar Jackson is basically not showing up, doesn't want to play for our team. I believe the Ravens really rallied behind Huntley yesterday. They wanted to play for that dude. And some of the effort plays I witnessed from Huntley, as a coach, I love seeing it. So I'm not gonna question the situation. It was unfortunate. They probably win the game. I still think Burrow goes down and scores with that much time left, no doubt. But at the same time, I still think they could have won the game. Probably 90% probable they win. So I feel for Huntley doing that. But at the same time, why wasn't Dobbins pushing Huntley in? Why wasn't he the guy pushing him in from the back? See, that's where you find out where these team guys are and where these eye guys are.
I'm going to defend it. Huntley went airborne. It's hard to push a guy that went airborne. He was supposed to burrow in low, allow some. Huntley broke protocol. Let me, just because, according to Last Chance U, Jason Brown's a guy that got into some beefs, shouting matches with referees on a regular basis. I wanted your take on Sean Smith and the officiating crew in that Chargers game, but we got a clip here of Sean Smith going after Joey Bosa, and we see this in baseball where
shortage across America, by the way, at all levels. So there's an officiating shortage. It's because of the helicopter parents in the stands. It's because of the coaches, even like myself. I'm not going to ever – I was hard on the referees as well, but I also took care of the referees in the offseason with different things that we did as far as showcases and clinics. They would all tell you that. But I am hard on them in a game because, again, I'm coaching for my players. I would like to see the coach, Staley, on the refs harder than the player, because my thing is this, Jason. Players, shut the hell up. You play. I'll get on the refs. Because when the players do it, Jason, this is what you have. You have an unruly setting and you give up a 27-point lead because your players have no respect for the head coach and you don't shut the hell up. Let me get on the refs as the head coach, number one. Number two is I don't actually disagree. I'm not really hating this referee for doing what he did because of this reason, Jason. I don't know what he said. I don't know what Bosa told him. And at what point are we going to just continue to take it and take it and take it? What if Bosa told him, screw your mother or something? It's a natural reaction to go say, you know what, man, you're out of line. Why don't you be quiet and play? Like if the ref said that, I have no issue, because at some point we're going to have to put a stop to these players talking so much to the refs. NBA has created the biggest joke ever. These NBA players talk to these refs however they want, and everyone sees this on a national scale. And you know how many players do this in football? But guess what we're protected with? A helmet. You don't see our mouth. You don't know what we say. That is also why we lack endorsements and other things that NBA players get over NFL players. We have a helmet. You don't know half the league anyway. Half the novice fan don't even know who the hell most offensive linemen, defensive linemen are if they walked in Walmart next to you. You don't even know who they are. So you don't know what they're saying in those helmets. So I don't know what happened there. So I don't want to speak out of turn and put my foot in my mouth. If he did say something out of line, I'm not very mad at the ref for doing what he did. Now, you said unprofessional. Could be. I don't know what their real protocols are as far as bylaws. Do you chase down a player or not? That's where I know you're going, which I see your point on that too. You don't know what he said, and I'm glad he called him out.
Gotcha. Fair take.
Yeah.
Fair take. I like a little disagreement, a little dissent. You also kind of segue into my last question for you. I figured you'd have a take. Brandon Staley calls up a 27-point lead, man. Should he be fired? Would you retain Brandon Staley, or is it time to get Justin Herbert, an offensive coach and just a better coach than Brandon Staley?
Let me go two things on this. Sean Payton is in LA. He's been in LA for 3 weeks. That's number one. So you have this guy out here who everyone's flying into LA to interview. Houston is coming in here today to speak to him. Denver flying into LA to speak to him tomorrow due to legalities of his contract. So the Chargers have to fire Staley by tonight in order to be in those sweepstakes. If they wait a week, they're probably not going to get him, number one. So if you do fire him, you better do it tonight. Now, as to my take on what to do, first of all, I think Herbert is getting far too much credit for let me put it this way. He's not getting enough blame. And Staley's getting far too much credit in this 27-0 comeback give up the other day. Herbert did absolutely nothing in the second half. Nothing. He showed up and was a nobody. Again, he has yet to win a playoff game. When are we going to start calling this guy the next Ryan Leaf? Because this guy's a big old, pretty, gorgeous, 6'6", 240-pound guy who can throw the ball all over the place. He hasn't won a playoff game. You know who has? Brock Purdy. Trevor Lawrence just won his first one. I mean, when are we going to start saying, hey, Herbert, when are you going to show up and earn your money? Staley should never have been the head coach, in my opinion. With a guy like Herbert, you have to have an offensive coach. So I believe Sean Payton is salivating over coaching the kid. I think Sean Payton can get the most out of the kid if anybody can. So contrary to the belief of Sean Payton has come out on woke networks and PC networks and said, I like Kyler Murray. No, you don't. You said that so you can get behind a mic on the mainstream media and you want to say the things everyone likes. You ain't going to come out and say, there's no way I want to coach Kyler Murray. Because I know for a fact he don't want to coach Kyler Murray. He'd rather have Josh Herbert or Matt Stafford. And I think that McVay threw a monkey wrench in this whole thing because he came back. Some inside sources I had said that Sean Payton was headed to the Rams and McVay was going to step down and go into the press box, into the media world. That threw a monkey wrench on him. That's why Sean's been out here so long. And now this has happened. So now maybe a job that he didn't expect, the Chargers, may end up being the one he ends up taking. But I believe he was going to end up in L.A. regardless. I think he still does. Now, if Dallas loses tonight, Sean Payton may be in those sweepstakes. But Staley has to go for the simple fact of Herbert being a guy that's underachieved for being such a freak of nature that he is. I put him in the same boat, Jason, as Mahomes and Josh Allen. Those guys are freaks of nature. They're all unbelievable talents. But to this day, in my opinion, they've all been overrated. They've all been overrated.
Here you go. Mahomes about to get his second MVP, and he's overrated. Number one seed, headed towards probably his third Super Bowl, but overrated. I hear you, JB.
I love it. Hey,
I hear you.
Hey, 2 touchdowns and 2 Super Bowls. 2 touchdowns and 2 Super Bowls, 4 picks. He's the GOAT.
JB, I'm done with you. Great job as always.
All right.
Thank you.